Hi campers, it's Miss Yaz from Camp Quarantine. Today's picture book time is brought to you by the artist Yayoi Kusama. And there's a book called From Here to Infinity that's all about her. So let's read a little bit about her and get started. Yayoi Kusama, From Here to Infinity by Sarah Suzuki, illustrated by Ellen Weinstein. What do you think this might be about, hey? Yes. Yayoi Kusama was born in the country of Japan on the island of Honshu in a town called Matsumoto City. An old palace made of wood and stone overlooked a moat where swans swam, the streets were lined with little shops, and snow-capped mountains rose in the distance, swallowing up the sun as it went down in the evening. Beautiful illustrations in this book. Yayoi's family owned nurseries where all kinds of flowers and vegetables grew, and workers tended the plants as they matured from seeds to sprouts to stalks. But Yayoi yearned for a different life, far from the countryside. She dreamed about what lay beyond the mountains in places from Matsumoto City. She longed to leave home and see the world. What do you notice about her flowers? What shapes do you see? Lots of spots, right? Can you see the spots on the flowers? And there's little Yayoi over here. Yayoi's mother wanted her to stay home and learn old-fashioned manners, how to dress beautifully, elegantly, walk demurely, eat politely, and find a proper husband. But Yayoi wanted to be an artist. Every day she went outside with ink and brushes and paper. She drew things she saw and things she imagined. She looked closely at the pebbles that lined the riverbed and at the leaves and stalks of plants. She drew them as chains of tiny cells that looked like dots. When she was older and studying in art school, her teachers disapproved of her work, and they demanded that Yayoi paint in the traditional, precise Japanese style. She wanted to go where she could live without rules. So her art teachers didn't like her art. Okay, she drew lots of dots everywhere. Okay. When she was 28 years old, she packed up her silk kimonos and thousands of drawings and stuffed dollar bills into the toes of her shoes. It was her first aeroplane trip. There were only 4 other passengers and the weather was stormy with rain and lightning. The airplane wobbled and dipped as it flew to America. So she went from Japan to America. Okay, it's on her first time. Have you been on a plane before? Fun, right? Look at this. In New York, Yayoi went to the top of the Empire State Building, the tallest building in a city full of tall buildings. When she looked down, she saw buses and cars and yellow taxis zooming up and down the avenues, and bankers and teachers and artists rushing to work. From up on the 86th floor, they looked like dots. She felt very far from Matsumoto City and her mother's rules. Here it seemed anything was possible. So do you see all those dots? She's so high, there she is, that these little dots are people. Yeah, it's like a bird's eye view, like if you're a bird looking from above, okay? Yayoi set about turning her drawings of dots into paintings. The dollar bills that she had brought to America quickly ran out, and she spent what little money she had left on paints and canvases. She worked day and night. She painted when she was cold. She painted when she was hungry. She painted when she was lonely. And she turned her dots into sculptures too, into soft stuffed tubes that covered sofas, chairs, and boats. She was devoted to her dots. For her, they were a way of thinking about the world among the stars as one dot among millions of others. They were a way of thinking about infinity. So here's her couch, covered in soft sculpture and all her paintings. Okay. All right. Sometimes she grew frustrated. She visited the Museum of Modern Art. She gazed at paintings by other artists and she thought about why and how they were made. She looked at pictures of dancing girls and swirling night skies, trying to solve them as if they were puzzles. So she's looking at the art in the museum. She's thinking, I don't understand these. Yeah? So she's trying to understand how they were made. Her paintings seemed so different from those she had seen at MoMA. When she was at last ready to show her work in public, she invited all the friends she had made in New York. When she arrived at the gallery, a crowd was spilling out onto the sidewalk, which is the footpath. Her friends lifted her into the air, shouting, "Yayoi, you've finally done it!" Word about her work spread quickly. Her friends told their friends, newspapers wrote about her work, and reporters clamored to interview her about her dots. Now she began to show them in other cities, all over the United States and Europe. So here's the art gallery full of people. And here she is on the magazines and the newspapers in the newsstand. So cool, right? So finally people are starting to know about her artwork. Her dots were covering the world. They appeared in Venice in thousands of dot-shaped mirrors scattered over a big green lawn. So you see these balls, they're like 3D dots. Or pumpkins on a pier. And this one is in Japan. I love these. These are amazing, these ones. On dresses and t-shirts, on people walking down the street, and in mirrored rooms where glowing dots were reflected and reflected again. An infinity of dots. So an infinity means it keeps going and going and going. That's right. So there's dots everywhere in her world. Ah, fantastic. Here we go. I've been to this room. It's amazing. So it's a very little room with 3 walls that are mirrors, and it just reflects the dots so it looks like it's like the galaxy or space. It's spectacular. Amazing, amazing. Having visited many countries all over the world, Yayoi returned to Japan. The country had changed since she left, with many different artists challenging the old traditional style, as Yayoi had been doing all along. Here we go. She's drawing spots on everything. She still lives in Japan and she continues to paint her dots every day. Here we go. So she's back in Japan now, okay? She doesn't live in America anymore. And she's still alive and she's still painting today, guys. So it's pretty cool. So here are some of her real artworks. There's the couch with all the soft dots that are on it. And, yes, this is Infinity Mirrored Room, the souls of millions of light years away. Here we go. And this is the one that I went to. It's called the Obliteration Room. So it's a white room, okay, covered in lots of spots. And it's covered so much that you can't even see the white walls anymore or the white furniture. So that's me in the Obliteration Room in Brisbane a few years ago. It was so very cool. All right, guys, I'm going to do the activity now. I hope to see you soon and you have lots of fun with Yayoi Kusama. All right, bye, campers.